Hello, welcome to another video winning Wall Street's money. It's Sunday, 11:15 a.m. New York time. Tomorrow starts a new trading week. As well, this coming trading week is the last trading week of the month of October. And the last few days of the month, as well as the first few days of the month, has new money that comes into the market for long-term investors. So that adds a little bullish bias. We also have some big earnings this week. Microsoft, Facebook, Apple, and also a big economic report this week that comes out. It's a gauge on inflation. Let's look at the weekly charts of the equity indexes. Each candle represents the full week since Sunday. Last week's completed, so now the candle's complete. Here's the S&P 500 cash equity indexes. The S&P 500 is the largest 500 publicly traded companies in the United States. So here's the high. And here we are now, below 3,500. We made a lower low from last week. This is the high of last week. We made a lower low. The low of last week, we also made, the prior week, we also took that out and made a lower low. So the past 2 weeks have made lower highs and lower lows in the S&P 500. As well, each candle, each week, closed lower than it's open. That's bearish. Now we're looking at the NASDAQ 100. Same. Here's the all-time high. And the prior week, as well as last week, both made lower highs and lower lows. As well, both closed red, means they close lower than they're open for those weeks. So again, bearish. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, the 30 largest US publicly traded companies. Here's the high, all the way back there from the beginning of the year. Same as the other two equity indexes. They both are making lower highs, lower lows, and close red for the week. That's bearish. Now the Russell 2000, here's the high. It's the only index here that made the inside candle for the week. That means the high and low did not go above or below the prior week. That means indecision. It also has a demand zone here. Buyers were there and stepped in there. Did you buy there? Or were you a person that went short or thinking it was going to go lower? And this little horizontal gray is the mid-range of that big prior week. Indecision. Again, it's building a consolidation here. So that consolidation may or may not have a trend to go higher to retest that high. We'll find out. But the biggest thing is, for me, for a trade idea, I'm looking for a break out to the upside or break out to the downside for the trend for trading as a swing trade. So that may happen next week. I already have my alert set up for a trade idea as soon as the high or low of those get broken. Again, we're looking at the weekly charts and we're looking at the futures market. Here we are looking at cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. For the week, made a higher high, higher low than the prior week, had a huge trading range, also closed green. That means it closed higher than it's open. It also took out the swing high. This yellow horizontal line, that was the high of this consolidation here, and we took it out and closed above it. That's bullish. There's more swing highs here from back prior. We also closed above that big round number, 1200. 30-year US Treasury bonds made a lower high, lower low than that prior week there. Also closed red for the week. Very bearish. We are now testing. This is a demand zone. There were buyers back here in the past, and we're inside it now. We didn't close at the low of the week, but we closed more than the middle range of this week. That's very bearish. And the trend has been lower, lower since it broke out and closed below this consolidation. Bearish bias. We're going to see what happens next week. If it's going to make a new low or build a consolidation, maybe a little high, a little low, build a consolidation similar to like this, but staying below the midpoint here, then that would be, again, confirmation that staircase pattern is down to be trading short on the bonds. as well as the swing point right here, a key level to see if it breaks that. Very concerning, very concerning. US dollar index also very bearish. We made a lower high and a lower low and closed red for the week. Also broke below and closed below this consolidation, below that round number 93. Very bearish bias. These red horizontal lines, those were supply zones. There were sellers up there when it was testing it. Tested here all this past few weeks, and sellers are they're selling. Are you short? Are you trading currencies? What side are you on? Energy, crude oil futures, huge consolidation, very tight range, building a coil. Small trading range for last week. We did close, we made a higher high, higher low than the prior week, and that was an inside candle. So we broke above it during the week, filled a close above it, and went back inside that range. And now just trading below the big round number of $40. So here, there's been at the supply zone, sellers have been here. We're down here, we have passed buyers. And we have a swing high here. So I am waiting for these levels to be tested for considering putting on trades from swing high here or another failure here as well as here. So I'm open-minded to trade either direction depending on how it goes into those price levels and what kind of strength or weakness it goes into those. You see the bias has been bearish. It's just been struggling along. Gold, metals. Inside candle for the week means indecision. Again, inside candles are my yellow ones. It's the high and low do not go above or below the prior week. It's in a tight consolidation. It's also rejected this supply zone. There were a bunch of sellers here prior to weeks and again this week, and every time it went up there, rejected it and went lower. Here is the demand zone. There were buyers in the past. So now it's inside this consolidation, inside candle for the week, indecision. There are good trade opportunities in there for the fast time frame and slower time frames when there's those inside candles. But there's a connection here with the US dollar and the commodities of crude oil and gold. You can see we closed red for US dollar for the week. We closed red for crude oil for the week. We close inside candle for gold. Typically, commodities trade inverse from the US dollar. Well, crude oil didn't. So that's extra bearish buys on crude oil because this huge down move on the US dollar. And if crude oil was positive, it should have gone green and higher. It did not. It closed red. Yeah, it did go higher and rejected that area. So the strongest one of these two is looking more like gold. Again, it didn't perform outstanding to want to have me buy here because it didn't make a higher high and break above here. But again, it didn't take out those lows neither. So that's what I'd be looking for on a pullback on weakness or a break above strength to consider trading into. Looking at currencies. These are the FX futures. These currencies trade in the futures market. They're all paired against the US dollar. As these currencies going higher, it weakens the US dollar. The euro, look at that. Higher low and higher high. Breaking out of this consolidation. It's still in a bigger consolidation, but it's above those two prior weeks. So now this is the demand zone. Buyers were there. And we'll see what happens. This was a supply zone. Sellers are up here. We'll see if we get into a new high this week. But right now it's bullish bias because that was consolidation, broke above that and closed above those two. Japanese yen, huge move for the week. Very bullish bias. That's the demand zone. Staying above that demand zone. Again, huge move up. Broke above all three of those prior weeks, closed above them, closed above another round number. And this is where sellers were before. So this was a supply zone, and that was where it had sellers. But we'll see what happens come this week. But right now, the trend is bullish. See these staircase patterns? Higher high, higher low. That's a safe haven currency people are flowing into. British pound, also green for the week. Higher high, higher low, rejecting the highs, closing back inside this consolidation. And there's the demand zone. Canadian dollar, really strong as well too. Here's this big pole, big green candle, you call that pole, and these two side candles building consolidations, almost like a flagpole. So we're going to see if it breaks out again for the week and goes up, test this swing high to this top of this consolidation. All three, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I was day trading Canadian dollar. Swiss franc, huge move up for the week. Closed a big round number. Also broke out of this tight consolidation, gunning up to the swing high. Demand, Swiss franc is another safe haven currency. Japanese yen, Swiss franc, and the US dollar, safe haven currencies. And we see they're not going into the US dollar because the US dollar is going lower. Safe haven currencies are going to is the yen and the Swiss. Australian dollar, green for the week, inside a big tight consolidation. And another tighter consolidation is building a coil for strength or breakout. So there's been a demand here. Buyers are buying there. But it didn't make a lower high and lower low. That's concerning. Or this is demand zone. So potential of a lower retest of this prior demand zone. We'll see what happens. Just big consolidation there to be concerned about. And the last we're finished off is at the FANG stocks, the most popular stocks. Facebook, huge move up for the week, took out the prior week, higher high, higher low. Earnings this week. So maybe it's luring in new money, and maybe it's going to be disappointing earnings that fake out that new money and go lower. Come next week, we'll find out. Amazon, red for the week, really bad. But remember, Facebook is green versus the equity indexes are red. So Facebook is doing better than the stock indexes. Amazon red. Apple red. Wow, not looking good. It's not even at its all-time high. Netflix, terrible week, huge sell-off. Closed below the big round number of 500. What is happening with Netflix? Google, huge green, move up, broke above this consolidation. Google did better than the stock indexes, same with Facebook. Bravo Alpha, outstanding, all-time new high for the past 12 months, higher high, higher low, trend is higher. The strongest stock here in this chart grids. Tesla, Tango, Sierra, Lima, Alpha, red for the week, lower low, lower high. Struggling this tight consolidation. And November, Victor, Delta, Alpha, also red for the week, lower low, lower high from the prior week. Struggling. Whereas the other few stocks here are better.